Okay, good afternoon, everybody. Good afternoon and welcome. And thank you for joining AJT 5th webinar series, Navigating Our Future, Embracing the New Wellness Lifestyle. Welcome back our participants that have joined us since our first series, and a warm welcome to our new participants. Today, we are going to do things a bit different. We are traveling a little bit more miles. Since we can't travel on air, we are going to travel on on AI, or what you call on IT and webinars that we are bringing all the way to France, our guest, but she is now in Lebanon. We have Miss Sola, welcome. And we have our very guest speaker, which is Mr. Hussain, will be joining us in the next 30 minutes. He's engaged at the moment, but rest assured that he's coming on board. And we have Chris. Hi, Chris. Our usual speaker for weekly, that he is coming in from Swan and McCarran, and another guest speaker that we have from Thailand, Mr. Win. So very good afternoon to all the speakers and all the participants joining in AJT, and we are so excited today because we are bringing something very different in talking about redesigning malls in the new norm. Now, I hope everybody is comfortable. We hope to take this through in the next an hour to hour and 30 minutes at most. And we will also be going live today on live stream on YouTube. So please be rest assured that we have it in recording. We have it live on YouTube. And we also have our WhatsApp chat that is available. Please make sure that you scan the WhatsApp at the back of our screen. Then you can basically keep on the ongoing networking. Now, before we go further, I would like to share with you our main sponsor for this evening. As usual, we have Swan and McCarran, who is an architect with many, many years of experience since 1892. This firm is one of the oldest with a long track record in renowned work such as the hotel that we all know iconically in Singapore, which is the Raffles Hotel, the Goodwood Park in the early days. And most recently, they have done medical with the Raffles Medical Center, Extension Tower in Beach Road, and they have done Raffles Medical Group in Shanghai, in Kunching. And Swan has basically done up shopping malls that is in Holland Village, which they have the Raffles Shopping Mall, and they have just been awarded a retail mixed mall in China with a total floor size approximately 30,000 square meters. Wow, that's huge, Chris. Really huge. Now, before we get into the speakers and welcome the speakers, I would like to basically bring you a run through of what to expect in today's topic. Okay, we are talking about designing malls for the new norm. Well, this is something going to be a very exciting thing that we are looking at. But can I just request for people who are not speaking, please mute your mic. Thank you so much for your consideration. All right, let's start. Can we look at designing malls for the new normal? Can we have next slide, please? Well, are we looking at retail? Yes, we are. What's changing the new normal? This is the new wave that we all have to basically participate and get used to it and see how we could then improve in improving the tenants' occupancy and improving owners' income. Next slide, please. So, well, in malls, I think it is very part of our daily life, especially in UAE. I believe Mr. Hussain will basically share that with us in Abu Dhabi and UAE. When the summer comes, everybody is in the mall and they will really shop till they drop, you know. So I think this is something that it will not go away. Even you go online, but you still need the real life retail. So that's a very crucial issue that we need to bring, and how we can overcome the new normal and work as where we would like to be in a shopping mall. Well, the new normal has always brought us a little bit of inconvenience. I don't know about the rest, but I at times feel very uncomfortable, but I believe I have to do it by putting on a mask. And basically in Thailand, if you go to Thailand or any country now, I believe there's an AI app that basically you got to scan and basically they will then record your time in and time out in individual malls and individual shop units. So I think this is something that we have to live by it. Well, emerging trends in shopping malls. What are we all looking at emerging trends? I believe shopping malls have taken huge size within the region. If you're looking at malls that in UAE, you've got big malls like the malls of the Emirates. You got like the Dubai Mall, which Dubai Mall is huge, humongous, and I believe it's like 5 size of football field. Even you got like the Icon Siam. Many of the people around the Asia region is always asking me, oh, Anthony, I would really like to visit this iconic mall. And yes, Icon Siam is an iconic mall, and they are sized like 5,600 square meters. So malls today are all basically people are looking to have things all under one roof. Basically a community, basically looking at as a leisure and as well comfort. And very big malls, as you know, in Dubai or even in Thailand or even in Singapore, there are lots of theme parks and activities. So let me share with you here what they have. These are some of the videos that I would like to basically share in terms of having ski malls. We have in Dubai, in the Mall of Emirates, and we also have concurrently a mall in US that also have a ski mall. And I believe there are more ski malls coming up even around this region. Isn't it wonderful? You could bring dining, shopping, leisure, entertainments. These are all that's made available in malls of today. Will it come in more of this in the coming 1 to 2 years? With this COVID pandemic that we see, will it be sustainable? We will hear from it from the speakers. Next slide, please. And look here, this is another stunning mall that basically have a theme park in North America. I would love to visit this mall. And so malls of today and malls of tomorrow, where do we see the difference? Will it be a big difference? But looking at the global growth of malls, and this source came in December 2009, I don't think that is that far from where we are today. If you see Asia Pacific, malls are growing 5%, Europe 2.7%, Canada 1.7%, and I believe US basically is at the lowest peak of 0.4%. So I think malls of today are still putting in more visual, more robust, thematic, more comfort offerings to bring people in, and we would like to see it growing even after this period of pandemic. Next slide, please. Well, what is the forthcoming as we see malls growing? We see less of people using the malls. We see tenants are getting into crisis management. We are also seeing the landlords are giving problems in terms of, should I be charging them at the same rent or should I be lowering my rent? But many landlords are now going into full collaboration by sharing data and technology, even to the extent of profit sharing and lowering their rent. I think this is something we would listen from one of our speakers, Mr. Win, who is based in Thailand. He will share with us a little bit more in depth of what the landlords in Thailand are doing in terms of whether are they lowering the rent or are they going into profit sharing. And many malls today are also leverage up in Hong Kong, in South China Morning Post, as you could see, malls are going into wellness. So wellness, I think that's a big word. Many people are going into eco-friendly environment, but now is bringing in wellness. So this is the new wave, and people are looking in not only in Thailand, not only in Hong Kong, but we get many inquiries of people coming to us from AJT. What should it be and what's the mall of future should be? Next slide, please. Well, I think we all see what malls will be, and I think AI is a very big thing. And when you ever come to Thailand, when the borders are all open, you will see this in the malls of Thailand. Well, lots to look at, and these are the new things that we will be looking. But before we bring you further and looking at what the speakers have to share with us, I would like to basically welcome our speakers today. We have Chris. Chris, hi to you, Chris. Another good hi.
Hello.
Yeah.
Hi, Anthony.
Thank you. Sola, welcome. Thank you. And I hope you're all good in Lebanon.
Hello, Anthony. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. So Mr. Hussain will join us in a while. And today Sola is not only our speaker, she's also our co-moderator. Thank you for being here today. And we have Kun Rin. Rin, thank you for joining us. Thank you. Sawadee.
Thank you. Sawadee Kapom.
Sawadee. So before any further, I would like to bring in our speaker for today, our first speaker, which is Chris. Chris has worked in Asia and Middle East for retail projects such as Doha, Medina, Centrala, Bangkok, Terminal 21, and tenant anchor of the Jewel, Singapore. The York Air General Life experience living in US, UK, Thailand, and Singapore has exposed him to many cultural differences and requirements in designing for retail hotels, mixed-use development, for which Chris is now the International Director of Swan & McCarran. He directs and experience to the team with clients regionally. Chris, what do you have to share with us today in the designing of new malls? All yours, Chris. Thank you.
Thank you, Anthony. It's great to be here again, and it's wonderful to be talking about this subject. I'm going to have a very short one because I know we have some really good speakers today, so I'll just get right into it and share screen. And where's that button? Play. There we go. So today, just having a couple of slides talking about retail therapy in the post-COVID normal. But back to normal, back to what? First, I got 3 points that I'll probably be talking about briefly. One, of course, is our idea of retail therapy. You know, our need for retail therapy has lasted many a millennia. You know, since the market days of the forums of the Romans, the bazaars of the Middle East, such as Istanbul, which is one of the most fantastic places I've ever visited in the world, so unique, and also the plazas of Europe. These are all anchored in our history as the springboard for what became now these days the shopping malls that we experience. And these are still this same kind of guidelines that work our way through this. So such models as that helped inform us when we were doing the project for Medina Central. When I was working on that in Doha, it was done by Americans, so it has a little bit of an American-centric retail planning, but at its core is, you know, the market square and then the market street around it. And this is what we worked with, and it's still a model that many people use today, and I think is very valid. But what happens? Is our world all about social distancing and establishing protection measures? Is this how we're going to be living our lives for the near and the long term? I think in the near term, of course, this is being responsible, and it's key that this will be a fact. But what's in the long term is how that gets developed within the codifying systems of legislation and universal guidelines that apply to retail, to apply to hotels, and all building projects. As such, in retail, we have, of course, in the design guidelines, fire exits, fire codes. So the new normal, of course, will add, I think, an extra code that we need to incorporate. And this just becomes another part of our toolbox. So when we look at the near term and the long term, this nice little discussion by Bloomberg show the craving back to normality that America seemed to be looking at. They are willing to put up with the short term, these kind of constrictions, the restricted capacity, the reduced hours, and the compulsory of wearing masks. Now, this one I don't quite understand, because here in Singapore, we are all wearing masks and it's just normal, you know. We do every bit that we can to maintain safety for everybody on our own personal level. So that one I don't quite understand. And also the changing needs of the retailing experience for curbside collection, currently very active, but in the long term, these studies show that they feel that it's less attractive for them, and the delivery times and the do not touch policies. These all guide us back towards what we expect to be a new normal in the market surveys and what customers are expecting. So in our toolbox, of course, we've got, as designers in retail, the big box concept, your mini shop, which is very popular in Thailand and a very good shopping model, core anchors, and how we make development attractors, and the circulation traffic through the malls themselves. That old American adage, I think it's 80% through 90%, 80% of the people through 90% of the mall, that's their goal. These kind of directions have been shifting within Asia, because Asia likes convenience. So when we say, I want to route the people through the mall in a one direction, people get frustrated by that. And when you add frustration into something, that becomes a less enjoyable shopping experience. So in Asia, we've developed quick route escalators to move people from one zone to a higher zone faster, so you can bypass zones. From a retailing perspective, that might not sound like a good idea, but it's a convenience that adds to the attraction. So people who know the place come back, they go to the areas that they like, and then they filter back through to experience the other areas they may have missed. This will help inform us, of course, how we develop a COVID circulation diagram, one-way traffic versus two-way traffic. And this will just be another tool in our box. So that's part of the fundamentals, the tenant mix, the tenant visibility, your target demographics for the catchment area that you're looking at, then that unique selling point that your mall is all about. Those are the main components of course, what the development investors are looking for and how to build up the shopping mall. And sometimes a lot of that has been forgotten, particularly in catchment areas where perhaps in America, we've overbuilt large-scale shopping malls, which are now having a crisis. And now they're finding they've got large areas of parking lots they don't know what to do with. Well, I can give you a good solution. You can have an outdoor movie theater there. You can have an outdoor market, really, farmer's market kind of thing in those areas that aren't being utilized, that you made so much space for. And also the changing nature of our traveling experiences for cars is obviously going to be changing. So do we need such large parking spaces? And of course, when we're talking about digital, I feel that the retail scene is in the shopping malls are afraid of the digital market. I think that's an advantage they can take on. They can do digital partnering. For example, the Canadian fashion brand Ports held a live stream event on JD Live in China, and they spent 6 to 9 hours on it with young celebrities and the editor of Elle magazine to have an online interactive event with their brand. And that generated 3 million customers. Sorry, something is in the way here. And visitors to that site, and over 1.4 million US dollars in that one day. That's something that retail operators should take an advantage of. How to partner up with their core brands, their core anchors, and create events online as well as offline at the real brick and mortar place. I think that's an advantage. Digital is not a disadvantage. So the other aspect I was just mentioning was that mix, that focus mix. So for example, at Raffles Medical here in Singapore, it's a very small little retail, but it's focused. Its core anchor, of course, is Raffles Medical. Then the other retailing is focused into wellness, and then the support F&B, because Holland Village is a very active F&B venue site here in Singapore. But the building itself was also a attractor. At nighttime, it gets lit up. It has engaging lights, and the form itself is very active and sort of streamlined because it's at the corner of a major intersection with lots of traffic coming by it. So that was embodied into the building. And again, in that same location, we created a very small retail venue, which was animated, activated, and interactive. The whole building became an interactive experience for people and a highlight in their trips to Holland Village. Number 3, and lastly, as the list goes down, core values, I think, are lasting. Location, the real estate guys will always say, location, location, location. But then, of course, we have service, not only in say, the hospitality sector, but now in the retail sector. How service from the operator's point of view is added into the retail shop's service, because the face of the retail mall is going to be also about service and safety and health, but also our value chain when we come to experience that retail rush of getting a good price, getting a good value. I'd like to add into that authenticity. When we're looking at shopping malls, when I've been looking at retail, I look for the authentic nature of the project. Its site location, its core values, its demographics that it's targeting. So for example, Terminal 21 is mainly targeted at young millennials, recent graduates, recents in the job market. And that's why other generations I have seen in Singaporean visitors come back to me and they say they didn't quite enjoy it. They weren't actually the target market, but that's not to say they shouldn't be. But the whole experience of Terminal 21 and that brand that's developed has always been about authenticity to the types of places they like to be seeing to visit. And that was the whole core value of Terminal 21. It's a place that Thais can visit to take snapshots to say they've shopped and been at the bazaar in Istanbul or London. That's why all the themed floors have their different relationships. And also here in Singapore, of course, we were very delighted to work on for the tenant anchor in the Jewel, Yotel. And Jewel itself is an incredible icon now for Singapore. It's a destination with over 50 million visitors in that first 6 months. Before the crisis, 300 visitors a day coming into that development as an anchor almost to the airport. And the Jewel, of course, has become an integrated mix under one roof. It's entertainment, it's the gardens, it's the fountain, it's an attractor, it's retail, 280 units approximately, and the hotel itself, the hotel that we were working within, and also the F&B. But you'd be surprised, its original brief, when they started thinking about what to do with that piece of land that was there, was to increase the parking. And then they realized they could maximize actually that land in a better, useful way. And that's now become a landmark here in Singapore. So what would be some of the takeaways, I think, in discussing this new era? Well, retail therapy, of course, has been a part of human life for millennia. It's always been adapting to consumer needs. And that's what retail malls need to consider, adapting to the consumer needs. There's always competition for footfall generation. So you have to know your market. You have to give them what they didn't know they needed. So if you didn't know you need a ski resort in the middle of Dubai, now you have. And now you find you have that experience. That's quite exciting. I'd like to hear more about that. Experience that they can't find elsewhere. So places like Dubai, malls like Terminal 21, give experiences that people can't necessarily get if they don't travel. But also don't fear that digital age. Retail collaboration to online media for the sales can become a part of the experience for our shopping experiences. I think for many people, it has become that way. We look online, then we go see, we try on, and we buy. And while we're over there at the mall buying, of course, then I decide to have a coffee, something else, or experience something that's at the mall. Malls can be enablers for retailing in all its forms. Fulfillment centers can be part of a mall. And the mall itself, the shops themselves, what they are doing is fulfilling a need innate in ourselves for that retail experience. And I think, Amazon and these people, they've taken away that word fulfillment center, but I think malls are actually at the core. That is what they are. They're enablers for experiences. They're offerings of benefits for the customer, retailer, and the investors. And at the same time, if we plan for adaptability, for formatting in the malls for growth and decline. So when you have tenant needs which expand, they can grow. And when they need to reduce, you allow for reduction in their sizes. And that's where in Thailand, mini shops became such a big idea. For twice the amount of space of shops, I can have twice as many people inside. And the affordability for those people to have the retail shop there is higher because their space is smaller. They can afford to have a little shop. They can't afford to have a big shop. And that creates an interesting mix for tenants, for the customer, because there's more on offer. So that adaptability of the mix, the mini shop to big box, the local to international retail, I actually haven't touched on the local versus international. I think in the coming future, people will be looking back towards our authenticity in retail. If I go to Thailand, I don't necessarily want to go and shop in an international retailer. I want to find the unique experience, retail experience. And in part, that's where Terminal 21 was looking at a market. It's all about local shop owners for them. So that's a changing retail demand patterns as well, short and long term. At the moment, people are buying less lipsticks because they're wearing masks. And they're also buying more eye makeup. Of course, I don't have any of these at the moment. The mask is over there. But that's a short-term change in market. But we have to bear these in mind. Some of those will become long-term. And they are also becoming a part of our safe practices. So I think the key here is retail, shopping owners, our commercial developers need to work with governments to help draft those meaningful measures for both retailer and customer welfare, consumer wellness. If we leave it to them, the governments to do on their own, we won't have any say. If we lobby the governments for best practice, then we'll be able to incorporate these needs better in the retail experience. So I want to give everybody a good chance to talk because it's very exciting topics. So I thank Anthony for the time on that. And if there's any questions, I'm always around, and feel free to discuss more. As Swan McLaren, as Anthony said, we're 128 years old, actually the oldest firm in Singapore. And we've got lots of projects under our belts in various typologies. And one of them is, of course, retail.
Thank you, Chris. Thank you. Thank you very much, Chris. Well, Mr. Chris, I like what you're saying. They need not to buy so many lipsticks now, but getting more eyebrows and eyeshadows into it. I like that part. Oh, I see Mr. Hussain has joined us. Mr. Hussain, welcome and very good afternoon to you.
Very good afternoon, and thank you for having me today. It is such a great pleasure.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Since you came on board, we would like to host you in having you to be our second speaker. So before that, before we bringing Mr. Hussain and Sola to introduce Mr. Hussain, I would like to take a little pause to put up a little questionnaire on a poll. We would like to have a poll up now. Could you please appreciate that you could answer our questions here? Just takes you a little while and submit to us. Thank you so much. Mr. Hussain, how is the weather in Dubai? I hope it's all good, not too warm.
It is warm, to be honest, but I think it's getting a little bit better. So yesterday night, I think it was a little bit kind of a slow wind where you can feel that the temperature is getting even much better than previous days.
Oh, that's nice. That's nice. I was in Dubai like 2 years ago, and 2019 I was there. Sorry,
Which month? Which month?
December. I was in December.
It's quite good, good weather, I think.
Yeah, great.
Yeah.
Thank you. So we see that lots of people here coming in to look at exploring opportunities and looking and understanding, exploring the business trend. So thank you all. Thank you for participating in this poll. Now, I would like to introduce you to Ms. Sola. Ms. Sola, I would like to bring her as a speaker and a co-moderator. Sola is a co-founder and president of an international executive school, a business school established in Starbuck, France. Most of her growing up years were spent in Lebanon and studied in France. She has worked in both Lebanon and UAE for more than 10 years. With great experience in management, Sola has worked in multinational companies like P&G, Nestle, BAT, and she has built a capacity of cross-cultural management. Sola, welcome, and I would like you to please introduce yourself and introduce our very special guest speaker, Mr. Hussain.
First, thank you, Anthony, for this nice opportunity. I would like to say hello to everyone, and it's lovely to hear such insights and very interesting information. And it's actually a subject that it's interesting and it's critical because retail is a huge industry and we are all concerned as buyers, as consumers, as sellers, etc. Firstly, I will tell you a bit about myself. Thank you for this nice introduction, Mr. Anthony. So I'm based in France. We run a young business school called International Executive School based in Strasbourg. And as Mr. Anthony mentioned, I am a professional and an educator, which actually gives me a bit of comprehension of the market. And I think it's good because when you are dealing with students, you have to link them always to the market where they're going to end up and they have to go. So I would like to introduce Mr. Hussain Moosa. Thank you for being with us today. Mr. Hussain Moosa is the mall director of Mall of Emirates, part of Majid Futtaim properties. One of the most famous malls in UAE, where you can do your ski, you have a lot of activities, you have cinemas, the VIP cinema also, which I had the pleasure and the privilege to also have as an experience. Mr. Hussain has joined Majid Al Futtaim in 2005. Since then, he has also experienced the entertainment, the activities. He has gone through all the ranks to build exceptional customer experience. One of the milestones, and I would like you to share your experience about that with us, is also the 1 billion expansion project in 2015, if I'm not mistaken. And also tell us about how you lived the COVID-19 experience, how you are living it, and how you're gonna live it in the future. So Mr. Hussain, with more than 15 years of experience in retail and in malls, also he was involved in the COVID-19 crisis, not only on the mall level, but on the country level. So you can ask him also questions about that. And I will leave the floor to Mr. Hussain.
Welcome, Mr. Hussain.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Sola, for your kind introduction. And I think you have said everything that I wanted to say. So yeah, I think everyone agrees that today Dubai as a city and in general speaking, UAE as a country playing, an extraordinary role when it comes to the retail business. And the retail business in the whole MENA region, I think Dubai created this landscape where you can see the international brands, where you can see one of its kind of brands when it comes and introduce and launch in the Middle East. If we talk about, let's say, the Middle East, people look at the proper platform. And what we do is, it's not about just having few boxes in a shopping mall. No, we have, let's say, kind of a way where we create experiences. And creating experiences, this is our core, where we come across and create this kind of a journey where the family comes all the way to our shopping malls and enjoy certain things. Going into the retail challenges during COVID-19, I have prepared few slides. Let me share it with you. So, do you see the screen?
Absolutely.
Yeah, maybe you want to go on full screen, Mr. Hussain. Click on full screen. Thank you.
What do you think now?
Thank you.
Okay. Okay, so this gives you an indication about Mall of the Emirates from a size point of view. And let me talk about, let's say, Mall of the Emirates, because Sola, you are very familiar with Mall of the Emirates. I'm sure that so many other audience and participants are not really familiar with Mall of the Emirates. Maybe they didn't have, let's say, the pleasure of visiting Dubai and specifically Mall of the Emirates. So Mall of the Emirates, we're talking about more than 630 stores, and this is basically from a square meter of, let's say, a GLA, we're talking about 48,000 GLA, gross leasable area. So this is basically gives you an indication of the size of the mall. So we're talking about kind of a city within a city. Today, if we are talking about number of visitors, we're receiving more than 44, let's say, million visitors annually, and we are trying to maintain that and increase, you know, this one. And again, talking about international brands, so, you know, Harvey Nichols, Chanel, Louis Vuitton, Hermes, these kind of international brands and important names and prestigious names, you know, being part of Mall of the Emirates, this is a clear indication that Mall of the Emirates provides the right platform for the international brands. Okay, let me take you to kind of a calendar where we went through COVID-19 and the collaboration that we had with the different authorities, if it's federal, if it's local, and this gives you an indication of the duration of each phase that we went through in Dubai. And again, we as a private sector, local private sector, we have seen the amount of support that we're getting from the government entities. And today, if we talk about the lockdown period, we had only the hypermarket and we had some small stores with the F&B. And when I say the F&B, the food and beverage, I'm talking about specifically about the delivery, online delivery. So we used to operate the mall with the big hypermarket, with some pharmacies where the government gives us, let's say, the opportunity of having these activities in the mall, and plus, you know, people going for a grocery shopping. Later on, 25th of April, we got the second phase. So the government also, you know, allowed us of opening, let's say, the 25 occupancy of our parking area and 30% mall visitors. And again, if you come across, let's say, asking me a question, how you as a team, Mall of the Emirates team, managing number of people walking in. So we have, you know, different kind of a way. First of all, we're talking about the occupancy from the parking bays. So we are restricting number of cars going into the malls. And also, as some of you might know, that our shopping mall is connected with the Dubai metro station. So also there are, you know, there were some regulations and restrictions on number of people walking into the mall from the metro channel. Finally, the restriction on the age group. So families, let's say, not visiting the malls because there are some restrictions on the age when it comes to 12 years old and below and 16 years old and above. So by the time we placed all the measurements, the precautionary measures in our shopping mall, we had the privilege from the government authorities of giving us a 70% occupancy when it comes to the parking and also the mall traffic. And we used to give on a daily basis number of visitors in our malls, so we can do kind of an analysis with the government authorities on a daily basis. So how we can have a restriction in place in case this number went up. Finally, we're talking about the 100%. If you look at the duration, you see it's a very well organized, okay, and the amount of people that walking into the mall, because you don't want to open up, let's say, the full mall and all doors for people, they are not fully aware of the criticality of this pandemic. Because Mall of the Emirates, as Sula mentioned clearly, it's kind of a home to our visitors. We created this video, and I'll leave you with this video. Okay, so I'll have your opinion maybe later on.
This is not goodbye. This is about doing what's right. Because you and your loved ones matter to us more than anything. And as much as we miss you and remember fondly these spaces, still echoing with your laughter, full of life and joy, it's time to take a step back. We will overcome together. We will hold on to our hopes. we will meet again. And that time will be sooner than you imagine. And trust us when we say that the wait will be worth it.
Okay, so it had a really, I would say, emotional impact on our visitors, because Mall of the Emirates always known like it's a home. If it's not the first home, it's absolutely the second home for our visitors. And the repeat visitation in our shopping mall is so high. So every day, you know, I walk the mall, I see the same faces sometimes, and I say hi to them, they say hi to me. So it's absolutely, we consider it as a home for our visitors, and our visitors also, we appreciate their loyalty of being, let's say, loyal to us. And again, so the impact of the COVID-19 on our retailers during the lockdown, I gave you this kind of a percentage. This gives you an indication where we used to be and where we are today. During lockdown, we used to operate 5%, and the 5% that I mentioned earlier, it's about, you know, the grocery shopping, the pharmacies, and some other, let's say, maybe optical shops, and anything related to the, you know, the basic needs of our customers. So, and because we have a large hypermarket, we used to receive around 20% of our traffic from the hypermarket, and the F&B used to operate on the online deliveries only. So we provided the right platform for our food and beverage so they can continue trading, and also for other stores where they are not able to trade. So we made everything is ready. By the time we get the announcement from the government that everything is ready to go back to normal, so we open up the doors. And we used to operate, you know, just 5 entrances. Okay, how exactly this happened? If I'll take you, let's say, through the process, we had a daily workshops with different authorities when it comes to the economic department, when it comes to the tourism department, when it comes to the Dubai police itself, all the authorities that related to the government and setting up all the precautionary measures. So they used to have a daily meeting with us where different shopping malls participated in these workshops, and they used to listen to us, and the same day immediately goes all the way, you know, to the top to decide yes or no. So this is one of the main reasons about our interactive and the interaction that we had with the government authorities that brought us today in the 100% in very fast period of time. And the coordination that we used to have. So let's say today, this morning, I had, let's say, a workshop. I'm expecting another call at night. Please come on Zoom, come on Teams, and whatever, any kind of a digital platform where we can go and discuss and implement and decide. So I think we have been heard. Honestly, we have been heard by the different authorities that the government, let's say, hire to overcome this critical period, and I think we have done exceptionally well. And the precautionary measures, I'll take you a few, you know, in upcoming slides, like a few examples, what kind of a precautionary measures. And I think these precautionary measures are well known in so many other, you know, shopping malls, because we're talking about the same, you know, event that we are having today. And nevertheless, yes, there used to be some restrictions and rules and regulations, but the government also gave us so much support, where today, even during the curfew, okay, they used to be flexible, because some employees working in certain stores, they used to work, let's say, back home a little bit late because they should be closing and so. But the government, you know, the authorities to be very flexible and providing all the supports even during curfew time. Okay. Support initiatives for the retailers during the lockdown, and this is unexpected event that the whole world went through. That was not part of the plan. That's never been expected, and we never know. But this gives an indication for the future. So you have to be ready at any time. We created different initiatives. First of all, the first drive-in cinema. So we converted our rooftop parking space because it used to be close to a cinema area. A lot of people, we give this opportunity to the families to leave the houses in a very safe way, watching the movies, having their popcorn, ordering nachos, and so. So I think it had a very positive impact, let's say, in Dubai itself and also in the region. We have seen so many, let's say, other countries, following the same trend that we follow. Click and collect, we provided the option where people can go and collect their items in the parking bays and trends at your doorsteps. So basically, we created a digital platform for our high-end and some other retailers, where they can sell online and we can facilitate all the payment methods and so. Finally, the marketplace, we used our Carrefour digital platform to give the opportunity to our retailers to showcase their products and sell. This is our drive-in cinema. As you can see, it's beautifully. It's that was, I think, the second show that we had in the mall. So very nice. I personally experienced this, and it was one of its kind. Click and collect, people doing their ordering and coming all the way to our parking areas. They collecting their items and leaving the mall. Trend at your doorstep. So we managed to, have a deal or a partnership with our retailers where we provided a page or a platform to them so they can showcase their products and contribute in their sales. And again, finally, which is the marketplace and our digital platform, one of the top, let's say, performed digital platform in UAE, which is Carrefour. We have so many high, transaction and participant in our Carrefour digital platform. So that's why we give the opportunity also for other retailers to showcase their products if they wish, and we reach a very good numbers. Two examples, I talk about the precautionary measures. I'm not going to talk much about this because I think we all know, we all aware, and the media itself internationally and locally, focused enough. For the restaurants, as you can see, we have some partitions where it gives a little bit kind of a privacy for our customers in the restaurants, and all the thermal screening at the entrances are being placed. So we increased also the sanitization frequencies and all the critical touch points. When I say the elevator, escalators, and so. Also the maintaining the social distancing, because we are a very high traffic shopping mall. So that's why we have to manage all the critical areas where we receive a lot of people. And also the occupancy ceiling in the store. So we need to maintain a 2 meters distance between each customer. So we had a regulation and restrictions of number of people working inside shops. Customer service desks, where we had different safety measures when it comes to kind of a separation and sanitization and so. Contactless sanitization dispenser across the mall everywhere, and also some dividers in the food court areas where we have a very high traffic footprint. So the status of retailers post-lockdown, as you all see, by the time the government announced that everything is going back to normal with all the precautionary measures set, we have reached to 95, and the next day immediately to 98 to 100% in a very fast period of time. So today also we're talking about 35 to 70% footfall and social distancing also in the food areas, plus the 30% of your occupancy in the stores, and also 11 to 17 entrances on operation. So this gives you a clear indication where we used to be and where we are today. And we came across of let's write a new beginning. So our approach initially, where we used to have, it's totally different than it's today, because that was an unexpected event and something which has never been planned for. So we created a whole new way. So we introduced a new positioning, a new campaign, which is let's write a new beginning. I'll leave you with this video.
Listen, I know it's crazy how we living. I know it's been a while and you really wanna visit Mall of the Emirates. Yup, we got this brand new services for your preference. Movies, you got it. Drive in and watch it. Grocery shopping, just order and drop it. Come to the parking and we'll be right there to put your bags in the trunk, cause you know we care. You can even try our luxury brands. Can you bring it to my doorstep? Of course we can.
Forget about the old days, let's talk about the new way, new way. Let's try a new beginning. Let's try a new beginning. Let's try a new beginning. Let's try a new beginning.
And thank you very much for listening.
Thank you, Mr. Hussain. Thank you so much. It was very enlightening. I tell you, I'm one person when I'm always in the UAE, I love to walk to the malls. I think that's the main attraction. And you're very right. It's the second home for all Emirates.
And we love you.
Really a place where to be and where they want to be. So I think what you have done is a very great achievement of change in such a short period. Thank you. Hang in there. Now we would like to bring Sola as a speaker. Sola, I believe you got something to share with us, a little bit more insight as well in the UAE, as well in the European market. Sola, please.
Yes, let me share. 1 second. Can you see my screen or no?
No, we still see the beautiful you.
Ah, okay. Wait 1 second. I think someone is still sharing his screen, maybe. No? Okay. Please. Okay. Normally it should be working now. Up. 1 second. I don't know why it's not working now. It was working just before. Continue. Okay. Now normally you should be seeing. Now you have to see, I think, right?
Yes, we got it.
Yes?
You see your screen.
Okay, perfect. So as I told you, I am the co-president of the International Executive School. So we help our students to tackle future and challenges. Let me go directly to the United Arab Emirates at glance, because I lived there and I had experience in Dubai, and I lived there for 6 years. And I also lived 1 year in Abu Dhabi. I would like you to just have an idea about the evolution of the UAE and specifically Dubai as a global city. So firstly, in the UAE, we speak definitely as an official language Arabic. Then we have a business language, English, and you have migrant communities, Hindi, Bengali, Urdu, which is Indian and Pakistani communities languages. Just to tell you how much it's a diversity, there is a diversity in the Gulf countries. For example, you have 88% of expatriates living in the UAE. You have, for example, 90% of expatriates in Qatar, 60% in Kuwait, as you can see. So let's say averagely it's 48% of the population in the GCC, in the Gulf countries, are expatriates. As you can see, the GDP is pretty high, especially in Qatar and in UAE. But in main, it's a very good level. As per World Bank 2018, population-wise, you have the highest population country is definitely Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, and then you have the United Arab Emirates, followed by Kuwait, Oman, Bahrain, and Qatar. So imagine on the 9,600,000 people living in the UAE, you have around 8 million of expatriates, which brings a huge diversity in the country. Expatriate satisfaction level, living there, it's important because if you want to travel there, if you want to live there, if you want to work there, it's good to know. You have the highest in UAE, Bahrain, and Oman. So the expatriates living there have a good life, they feel at home, they have their own communities, they don't have restriction, etc. Just for you to tell you, so 30% of the population in the UAE lives in Dubai. It's the second largest city in the country. It was at the beginning a pearl and fishing city. And now it's a highly connected and a global city. To give you just an insight, 98% of the population is connected on the internet. 98%. So you can see the level of technology and communication in the UAE. I will just give you a small idea of how was Dubai. This is Sheikh Zayed Road, one of the main roads in Dubai. It's the heart of Dubai. This was in 1971. And this is today, Sheikh Zayed Road, the same road. So you can see the evolution.
Correct. It's in 1991, I think.
And I saw it. It's on the picture. 1991. Excuse me. Yeah, it's on the picture. It was a spelling mistake. Sorry. Thank you, Hussain. So you can see the evolution in 30, 40 years. What happened there? The Palm Island, I don't know if you heard about it. Definitely you have heard about it. Maybe you didn't have still the occasion to come and visit with the Atlantis Hotel. Also the National Day, which is a very important and symbolic day in the UAE, the 2nd of December. All the residents and the locals are celebrating the National Day. It's something that is actually lived by all the population, all the residents. So it's not only the locals, the nationals. Dubai is a hub with Jabal Ali port. It's a strategic port. It's now the 9th or the 8th port in the world. It's a hub for Middle East, Asia, and Europe. And definitely, I will finish with that by telling you, Dubai. I shared in the chat group Dubai Vision 2021. So short video, but because we are maybe running out of time, I will leave it in the chat room. Dubai is a global city with a local spirit. If I can say it like that, if Mr. Hussain will agree with me, I don't know. What do you think of what? Do you think it's right? It's a global city with a local spirit.
Yes, I think the spirit that Dubai has, okay, which is, in my opinion, it's personal opinion, which is differentiate Dubai from so many other cities. It's a Dubai culture, okay, where you absolutely feel home, okay. You don't feel that you are out of your own city. And the good thing is when the family moves all the way to Dubai, so the kids, they make friends so fast. So they go to the schools and easily they adapt with the city, where, you know, even the parents, if they want to move out, so then the kids, they are the final decision maker. They say they want to stay in Dubai.
Perfect. So Anthony, we'll go back to you. So
thank you, Ken. Thank you, Sola. Thank you so much. Well, once we'll never forget what it's like in UAE, and I love it. Well, moving from UAE, we are like to coming back to home base now to Thailand, Bangkok. We have our next speaker, our anchor speaker. We have Kunwit Govit Wankit. Kunwit basically works with a client in developing assets. He basically represents the owner for all his projects for the last 15 years, architect, a marketeer by trade. He has developed over 40 hotels, condominiums, mixed-use property in Southeast Asia. And he's currently working on an international school and a few other projects. He focuses on marketability and efficiency as an investor and must be profitable. Kunwit, we thank you for your patience, and we would like to put the floor on to you now. It's all yours. Thank you and welcome.
Thank you, Anthony. So we'll look at some of the market information for the mall in Bangkok. Give me a minute. Okay, so firstly, let's look at the supply of the mall in Bangkok itself. Currently, we have about 9 million square meters of retail space. That is almost 100 million square feet. 3 million square meters of that 9 million is considered to be in a prime area. And within the next 3 or 4 years, we have an additional of 1 million square meters of retail space in the pipeline for the project like Terminal 21 in Ramatri, One Bangkok, Bangkok Mall, This Bangkok Mall alone will account for about 600,000 square meters, Dusit Park and M Spheres. So what is the indicator of the rate for the rental of the mall in Bangkok? We look at a mall location, the type of the mall itself, the target market of the mall, shop location within the mall itself, the size of the shops, and then the branding. For branding, for example, like Starbucks, because Starbucks brand has been quite strong in Thailand, so they consider themselves as a small magnet. So when they deal with a small developer of retails, they only start giving rental at 500 baht per square meters, which is a lot lower than the average rate. But if the mall want that brand, they have to accommodate that. So the average rental for downtown Bangkok or CBD is around 2,600 baht per square meters. For the prime luxury mall, like the Icon Siam, ground floor can be as high as 5,000 baht per square meters. And then for Midtown, it's reduced considerably to about 1,600 baht in average. There are some exceptionals like banking. A lot of malls will have a banking branch in a higher floor, which normally will pay a lower rent. But because if one bank have a branch in the mall, their competitor will have we want to have the presence in that mall also. So mall use that as a negotiation power to force the bank to pay higher rent. For Quezon Village, which has just been completed a few years back, their tower, they have a wellness and beauty section on the higher tower, 7, 8, 9 floor, but they can demand a very good rate for that section because of the location of the mall and the branding of Quezon. A little bit, look at the type of the mall or the retail. Mall or retail consider as a non-scalable business. So when you operate as a non-scalable business, efficiency is the key. You need to try to lower your operating costs. You have to have a high rentable space ratios. So how do you do that? You use technology to help improving the staff communication, the efficiency of the staff, how to bring down the energy consumptions. For example, major Cineplex Group, which operate about 800 cinema screens in Thailand, they used to require 10,000 staff to operate that 800 screen. Over the past 5 years, they've been investing in technologies, and now they only require 3,000 staff to operate the same amount of screens. So it's bring down, they only require about 30% of the staff that they used to require with technologies. You need to improve your high efficiency supporting areas. So reduce redundant work, reduce a long corridor for the staff, and increase staff productivity. So let's look at the trend before COVID hits. The driver of the trend are from improvement on technologies, the busier lifestyle and bad traffic in Bangkok. People choose to spend more quality times, and then the generation or the age group of the Thai people, the locals. So what this driver have changed is the increase in online transaction. So a lot of people don't want to go to the malls just to get the essential product where they can buy the brand that they used to buy through online. And then they also improve on the experience focused activity. The good example is hotel industry. A lot of big brand operators, they have adapted or created a lifestyle hotel brand to capture these changes in trend. Same as mall in Bangkok. Again, for cinemas, instead of having just a movie and then you go in to look at the movie, they create a luxury theaters, they create a VIP lounge, they create an entertainment complex surrounding their movie theaters or cinemas. That gives the customer a full experience. Instead of going to see the movie itself, you experience a different or luxury lifestyle that place offers. So when COVID hit, a lot of measures have to be done to tackle that. Like Siam Piwat, owner of Siam Paragon, Icon Siam Discovery, from the end of Q1 first quarters, they have waiver or the rental to their tenants, so that their tenant can survive during this difficult times. But a lot of economists see the COVID-19 is only an accelerator of the trend that has been happening before the COVID hits. So when during COVID hits, that they have seen an increase in the those already on e-commerce platform. The transaction has been significantly improved. COVID have forced migrate the new user to the online platform. Retail have to provide delivery service, like Mr. Hussain just saying, those click and collect, chat and shop, sales associate personally deliver the product luxury brand to the customer home. In e-commerce section alone, those 2 months of lockdown, they have seen 35% growth in the market cap. Lazada themselves on one platform, they have seen 75% growth in the shop that come onto their platform, and then 250 to 500% growth in sales on things like toys, sport, outdoor equipment, kitchenware, and furniture. All these products never been famous on e-commerce, but people still need to purchase it. And we expected over 30% of the new user will stay on the platform. So that is a threat to the mall. So recovery after COVID. A lot of economists estimate the full recovery will take up to 3 years. So after the lockdown has been lifted by the government, the leading footfall recovery, 80% to 100%, can be seen in some of the malls like Mecca Bang Na, Central East View on Ramintra Road, Future Park Langsit, Central Embassy, Siam Paragon, and M Quartier. The reason for this mall to have a very good recovery footfall is they are located on the node of each area surrounding Bangkok, and the rest are a luxury or higher income target segment. So what is the main factor for the competitive advantage that you need to consider when you go into the mall business? You have to understand the asset goal. A lot of clients, when they come to us, they always said, oh, I want to build a mixed-use projects. I want to build a community mall. I want to build a 3-star hotel, 4-star hotel, 5-star hotels. But that's not really what they should look at. What they have to answer is that, will the asset be a long-term holding for the next generation, for their kids? Will the asset is an investment diversification for their portfolio, or it's going to be a short or mid-term holding, operating for a few years and then flip it, fast exit? The second thing you have to look at is the experience-focused destination. A lot of speakers have already been saying, experience is one of the key selling point of the mall after COVID. What we can see from the trend after the Spanish flu in the past is that after the Spanish flu hit, a lot of designer has designed a mall to create a more ventilated corridor to prevent the infections. Maybe COVID will do the same for the trend in the futures. They need to have a flexible space to offer frequent lifestyle-focused event that draw traffic for the mall itself. So this will act as a new magnet for the mall. People want to have a new experience. So this type of setup will help the mall to create maybe every month a change in the magnet or the experience that draw customer in to help their main tenant. And then you have to have a carefully created tenant mix, which Mr. Hussain already said. You need to make sure that people come in and they have the product that they want. We need to create more. We have to achieve more ground floor. This is not literally building more ground floor because you have restriction on the land size and all that. But what we meant is that instead of having a promotional hall or event space on the ground floor, maybe you locate that into a third floor with a higher ceiling and all that to draw the customer, to draw the traffic up into the higher floor. You need to design an exit of flow of the traffic to distribute the traffic throughout. For example, Siam Paragon, they have ground floor and they have a very large terrace connecting BTS station to their malls. So they, instead of having one ground floor, they created so-called 2 levels of ground floor to create a higher rent for themselves. You need to look at a high efficiency design. When you can design a very efficient support area, this will increase your sellable area because the max GFA is already restricted. You reduce the size of your support area, the back of the house, through technology, to good designer like Swan and Macaron, and then you can increase your ratio for the sellable area. And then the most important thing, you need to have a low operation cost, because as a non-scalable business, the more competing within the same location, you have kind of like a ceiling for your rentals. So in order to, so if you have a low operating cost, you have a wider buffer or more money to help you during the bad crisis, or you help you put in the marketing investment to draw in more tenants to your mall. So that is what what I have to share today on a short period of time.
Thank you, Mr. Win. Kun Win, thank you so much. No, thank you so much. So dear panelists, thank you so much for sharing all the insight of malls, the making of malls and the making of new malls. Now, participants, please fill in your questions. Send in your question in our Q&A box, please. While doing so, we will put up our second poll question. And before we take the questions from the floor, we will have a discussion among the panelists. So please, we have the questions up. The poll questions will be up. Kindly assist us by telling us what field of business are you in a multiple choice. And we would like to see that coming to us, and we could then look at how we could then work and collaborate together. While we're waiting for that, there are a couple of questions that has been thrown to us. I think I would like to have that first question for Mr. Hussain. There one question for you here, Mr. Hussain, that maybe you would like to take it. Just one second. Okay. How did you manage monthly rental discount?
Okay. You know, basically, this is basically a question, I think, for all shopping malls, you know.
Yes.
We were the first mall operator in the region to proactively announce that we will not be collecting rent from tenants during closure period. And also, we're working very closely with our tenants, and we're having different programs, and we evaluating case by case, okay, where we identify the best possible way to support when it comes to kind of rent relief, when it comes to freeze, when it comes to all of these support initiatives. And usually, to be honest, we don't announce it publicly because this is not something that we advertise about.
I see. Do you see that landlords and basically tenants going to a profit sharing? Mr. Hussain and Mr. Win, maybe either one of you, both of you could see what's like in Thailand and in UAE. Mr. Hussain, do you go for profit sharing?
To be honest, we have certain deals when, you know, in a short period of time, we do such kind of a deals. Why? Because we need to assess the right brands for our malls, and also we need to test certain brands for our mall. So it is good opportunities for both sides, for the landlord and the retailer. So, you know, providing the testing ground for the retailers.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. I think so. How about Win? How about in Thailand? Do you see any profit sharing with landlords and tenants?
There are some, like Siam Discovery, which is owned by Siam Pivat Group. They have created a zone that they want to explore the new experience for the shoppers. So they create the different type of shops, like Thai designers, a smaller producers and all that. So those type of people cannot really afford the typical rent. So they have actually used the profit sharing scheme, maybe a very low fixed rent, and then whatever you make, I share the profit. So there are some in the selected malls and selected section of the malls.
Oh, I believe there. I believe so.
Yep.
Those are all coming in. Thanks for putting in your answers to our poll result. Well, we see a lot of owners and entrepreneurs there, real estates, service providers, investors. So please put in and scan our QR code for you to basically carry on being in touch with us and answering some of your questions and moving forward to see how we can collaborate. Well, let's take more questions. Well, Mr. Moosa, how does your mall deal with increasing online platforms and purchase direct from retailers which are available to customers these days?
Okay, if we compare a physical and digital, okay, I always see it complement each other. Today, the experiences that you get in a physical mall, you cannot get it in a digital mall. So
Yeah.
still, people visiting shopping malls for experiences. And today, we're providing services, we're providing experiences, we're providing also digital solutions. So yes, the world, continues shifting into a digital, and nevertheless, we all agree that the digital platform and the digital transformation, this is impacting the retail business. We do have our own strategy when it comes to the digital strategy across all our malls. So we always focus on the experiences that we provide to our customers in our shopping malls.
Yeah, I think that's a very good. Well, I was saying you got another question coming your way. For years now, the new trend of buying products more in local shops have increased, especially after the COVID-19 situation. How do you see malls counter this trend and make sure people keep coming and shop in big malls? Next to what do you think malls could implement? AI in the near future? Be used to track customers' behavior, to target and advertise of your product and services, make sure to keep people coming. So basically, how would you keep people coming in huge mega malls?
Yeah, I think the local trends and the local brands and the local, let's say, the upcoming kind of developed, designers in-house or locally, we provide, the platform also for the, the newly born brands and the local brands in town. So today, Mall of the Emirates, if I'll talk to you, let's say a few years back, okay, I'll say we focus on the international, but today also the local brands has proven that they are up to the international standards. And also today we in Majid Al Futtaim creating our own concept store, to host international with local brands in our shopping mall.
Thank you. Interesting, because I see more and more mega malls are coming up, like in Thailand, you got the Icon, in China, you got huge mall in Beijing and Shanghai. And I believe in Dubai, you have great competition with the Dubai Mall. And I believe coming up, another mega mall coming up, Diamond, right? So it's really, you got a lot on your plate, and I think you are doing a great job to fit your mall, the occupancy of your mall.
And it is a healthy competition, I would say, and
yeah,
to be honest, it's a healthy competition.
Very good. Kun Win, there's a question for you. How are the projects and building going green in Thailand? How is it sustainability being applied?
There are some of the developers that look into the sustainability, the design and all that. But what I saw largely in Thailand, those who develop a sustainability design or green design is where where they can use that as a marketing tools for their corporate. So it's not really like doing green because we want to preserve the earth and all that yet. I think it's still, we are a little bit behind on that front compared to Europe and America. But I see the trend is actually coming, and I'm sure in the near future we will be one of the better one in the world.
Thank you. Yeah, I think going green. So we have one more question more than green is, I think this will be looking at the Emirates. There's a question here. Are there any other wellness initiative that Malls of Emirates is taking in of the future? Anything on wellness, Mr. Hussain? Are you looking into holistic wellness to be incorporated in any of your big mega malls, especially the Malls of Emirates?
Sorry, once again, I didn't hear clearly, to be honest.
Are there any other wellness initiative that Malls of Emirates is thinking of the future?
Yeah, of course, of course. If we think about the wellness, prior COVID, we had something called MOE Active. Okay, so before we open a shopping mall, our shopping mall, we create, let's say, kind of a mini gym. We bring certain equipment to the mall, so people do some wellness, exercises in the mall before the mall opens. Here, where we engage our shopping mall with our customer during non-operating hours. Okay, so by the time 8 o'clock, we open the shopping mall, so people go to have, let's say, a breakfast in a cafes, and also they will be familiar with the shops that we have in the mall. This is one. The second thing is a partnership with the retailer. Today we have Lululemon, and we have yoga classes, we have different classes that we host in Mall of the Emirates, and this is part of our, let's say, ongoing activities in the mall.
Wow. I think that's good because wellness is still a very big thing in Asia and in Europe. So, Sola, maybe is there anything in Europe side in terms of the malls in Europe? You're based in France. How do you see wellness coming into play into malls in Europe? Especially Europe has been always the leading advocator in wellness, especially in Spain and Italy, So living in France, what do you see in wellness getting into the mall atmosphere?
So, knowing the European culture and living there, I would tell you that for us, wellness is lived till now outdoor or in specific institutions. But nowadays, especially after the COVID-19, I think wellness is gonna spread all over the place, and we will see also wellness entering malls. We saw, for example, some yoga classes happening certain hours in malls, even an outdoor of the malls on the terraces or stuff like that in Strasbourg. Also, we have, I don't know if you know Decathlon, which is one of the huge retailer in France for sports. He is offering in one of his shop classes, gym classes, aerobic classes for free, with instruction from him, and people can come and register. You need to register before, definitely, for social distancing, to have a certain number of people. So some initiatives like that are happening definitely in Europe, but there is also opportunity for more, definitely.
Thank you. I think so because I'm a strong believer in wellness, and looking at moving more forward is always wellness and lifestyle. Please, we'll run another 5 minutes, please. All participants, you have any question, please put in your question in Q&A. When we will take the next question now. Chris, that's going to you. What is the design of the future of new normal, basically in malls?
Well, as I tried to impart in a short presentation, our toolbox remains the same. And I think Hussain has rightly mentioned as well, some of these normal things that would be part of the activities when you arrive to a mall. But at the same time, it's the growth in activities that's become important, and the uniqueness of what each mall is offering. So of course, as you know, Bangkok on Sukhumvit, there are a large number of malls, but each one has a unique selling position, the market they're targeting, whether it's Quayson's high end or Siam Center's more teenager and young Thais. These are all different target markets. And part of that in the new normal is going to be able to identify continually what your market is and how you're adapting to how they shop. And as Hussain rightly said, and it's partnering with the digital age. It's not competing against it, because what that digital platforms are offering is easily brought into the malls. The operators of the malls, the owners of the malls, can be a platform for that digital experience for their own tenants of brick and mortar.
Yeah, Chris, I believe so. Thank you. We got one question coming in from Martha. I think this one, Kunwin, you would like to take this question, or any one of us would like to take this question. In US, malls are being converted to residential. Is that going to happen in Asia? Please, anyone, please.
Yeah, I was watching that. I think we have, because I'm half British, half American, so I can say, in America, I think we've overused our spaces, underutilizing them in terms of acreage. And what we here in Asia and also in Europe had was a long tradition of retailing, from the first department stores in France and the UK straight up to now. And the mixed use is a large component of developments here in Asia. And that ability to use on a small site multiple activities to happen, whether it's the mall on the ground floor and then the condominiums above or the offices above, that's been a norm for us. We don't actually have the space, I think, that the American malls have to try and do that. The American malls are coming up against the fact that the usage of that acreage of parking is under-realized. And I think that's a great idea for them. And if I were in America, I'd be wholeheartedly supporting that in developing those areas. We actually did a study in a competition for Mega Bang Na, how to expand the mall, because they ran out of parking space. They're so popular. And one of my early suggestions to them was not only to maximize additional parking, but to create additional retailing and experiences on the open space parking that they had already. And I think these days they're actually utilizing some of those concepts in a slightly different master plan.
Interesting. Anybody else on this interesting topic, whether malls will be converted to residence?
For Thailand, I don't see that gonna happen, in a sense that when the city, like let's say Bangkok itself, when they expand, the first that will go out of the city center is the residential areas. So when there is enough residential, the mall will follow. So it will be very unlikely that mall will have to be converted into a residential in Bangkok or Thailand itself.
How about UAE? Mr. Hussain, do you see that coming?
I don't think it's gonna happen soon, So, but maybe in the future things really change, because the world is keep changing so fast. You can't predict. Let's say, I'm thinking how to put a plan where it is quarterly measured or a monthly measured. In the past, if I'll speak to you, let's say 2 years back, I used to have, let's say, a specific plan that it's going to be executed annually in 1 year. But today it's very complicated. Even having said that, it's very difficult. I think it's gonna take time.
Yeah, I believe so, because we've been doing management in medical centers and hospitality. I'm getting owners asking me, Anthony, we would like you to try to work within the budget that you work for 2020. Well, I said, well, that's fantastic. I don't think that's possible. So that's really a tough challenge. 2020 is basically, I would say, it's kaput. It's finished. 2020, 2021, we don't know what's going to come in. Anyway, please, we would like to have just 2 minutes more. I would like to have just 2 minutes among the speakers to have a little cross exposure, doing a little bit of discussion about how we would take mall of the future and how would we basically manage what we are currently going through. So maybe we would like to start that with Chris, a little short one, and that shall be also your take-home message. How would you basically manage mall of the future, and how do we manage where we are today? Chris.
Oh, thanks, Anthony. I think my question would be going out to both Ween and Hussain. If the regulations come into effect, which guide us on how we can occupancy loads and virus conditions, how we can maintain that social connection that retailing has always become since day one, as it were. As you say, people keep coming back to the mall. They are repeat customers for you, and they're using it as a second home. Whereas at the moment, and potentially, unfortunately, in the future, this may be an ongoing thing. We have to adapt our strategies to how to be socially linked in these places, because they're such a core aspect of our social lives. And that's one of those things I'm struggling with, Sam.
I always give the example of our first shopping mall in 1995 when we opened City Center Dera. So that was our first super regional shopping mall we opened, and today is still receiving more than 22 million visitors. This is quite, a good number for this age of a shopping mall. And also in September, we announcing the opening of our food central. So it is kind of a food experience, food hall, where it's all, a local homegrown concepts from an F&B point of view. So I'm talking about a shopping mall that is being built in 1995, and today till date we have a development and a plan, and we, creating kind of an experiences that tailor-made for our customers. So experiences and the customer and upgrading, and also putting some sort of pressure on the retailers to renovate, to bring some experiential elements into their stores. Before signing the deal with any new concept, you need to sign a deal. What's gonna be inside? So what added value? So it's not about the product today, it's about the experiences. It's not about just walking in the mall and carrying few bags and going back home. No, I wanna have a good time. I wanna spend a great time, a quality time with my family. This is gonna be the way forward.
Interesting. How about Win? What do you think?
So I mean, what we have so-called in Thailand very famous orders new normal, the social distancing and wearing a mask and all those things. A lot of people saying this will be for the period because we need to do it, right? So if it continues, we don't know when maybe next year, maybe 3 years from now, all this gonna be kind of dissolved. But what we have to look at is those so-called new normal that we are doing now. Social distancing, you go into the restaurant, you cannot, for top table, you can only sit 2 people and all those things. If it doesn't encourage the investor to invest and make profit comparing to the pre-COVID, those things will not stay. Maybe it will stay for another 2 years, but at the end it will go back to what we used to have, because the land cost is going up, the investment is going up, I mean the material price and all that. So to investor, if they cannot make profit, they will stop investing, or they will divert into other sectors and all that. So I don't think we will see a lot of things that will affect the profit for the malls stay forever. I think it will come back to the normal. Maybe something will stay on, but not a lot of things that affect the profit.
Interesting, yes. So, Sola, how about yourself? You've been an educator. What would you basically advise people in your school that are looking into business entrepreneurship? So getting into a mall business, will that be something that one should be doing as your take-home message before we call it end of our session? Please.
Definitely, malls are becoming destinations for communities, and I think that is gonna still be there, and it's gonna be maybe more. Malls will have to differentiate themselves more and more to become real brands, authentic with an identity, where people can go and they feel it's a second home. I think also definitely COVID-19 is disruptive as short-term and mid-term, but we will at the end of the day have a treatment and have a vaccine. And so I don't see it as a long-term disruptive challenge. But I would see artificial intelligence, digital age, big players like Amazon. These are maybe disruptive real challenges and milestones that malls have to cope with. And we have to see how the digital age and technology will pervade malls and how they will evolve through that. But definitely malls are gonna still be there because people will need places to meet, to communicate, to socialize, and this is what malls became, more than a retail place to go and buy.
Yes, I think it will still go on, really go on, because this morning I got a call from one of our clients in Malaysia in Kota Kinabalu, looking at the possibility of looking a wellness mall, asking us to look at all the feasibility studies whether Kota Kinabalu will be an ideal place to develop a wellness mall. And my answer to him, yes, it's a very vibrant part of Peninsula of Malaysia. I think that will be stunning, and the agriculture there is very eco, and I think yes. So I think mall will still be a very ongoing platform for people to visit in the coming years and the coming days. I think it's already happening since Thailand has opened up. Where do I go besides weekend going down to other provinces? It's the mall. So I think that's something that as long as our thematics keep on going and changing, our innovations are there, I think it will always be an in thing for everybody. So before we go off, I would like to get everybody to please scan in our QR code to get into our WhatsApp. So basically you will be able to be an ongoing participant with us, as we will all be in the WhatsApp group to take your questions and we basically to answer. And before we say goodbye, I would like to really say thank you to each and every one of our speakers, especially from far abroad, Mr. Hussain. Thank you so much for taking so much time off from your busy schedule to be with us. And Sola, same like from you. Thank you so much. Chris, thank you. Virat, thank you. Before we call it, can I have a take-home message from each and every one of you? Mr. Hussain, from you, please.
Yeah. So, to be honest, I would love to close my session with this short video about the wellness. Since this is all about the wellness, if you allow me, I can share a small video,
Yes.
About the Mall of the Emirates Active, where we do it before the mall opens.
Yes, you may.
I think I need the permission, maybe. Okay. Can share also.
You need to press continue.
Sorry, do you hear the sound?
Yeah, the
Yes,
sound,
we hear
no
the
video.
sound, but we don't see.
Okay. So anyway, this technology things, I think it's now working. So anyway, let's close it by saying a few words. I think we continue creating experiences, creating great moments for everyone every day, and I think it's a great pleasure. It's I'm very grateful to be to hear different thoughts, different experiences, different things across the world. And again, we have one mission, how we're gonna move to the next stage, after COVID. So this is going to be our, a top priority agenda, for the coming days and months and years.
Thank you. Mr. Hussain, what you could do is share with us your link of your video. We can upload it into our recording, and we are all live streaming in YouTube, and it will all be in YouTube too. Thank you, and I'm looking forward to get back to UAE and to Dubai. Well, take home message from you, Sola, please.
I would say after the crisis we have lived and we are still living, I can say that one thing we have to know is we need to adapt fastly nowadays. As a professor, I teach my students a lot about soft skills, adaptability, flexibility. This is something that we need because nowadays we will see some disruptive, maybe medical, healthy, technology things, and we need to adapt quickly. And I would say we need to take that with a smile and say, I know it's difficult, but we need curiosity and creativity to adapt in the right way. So definitely it's a milestone. Definitely it's a challenge. As you said, 2020 is not, it's a very tough year. It's a tough year globally, but maybe also it's an opportunity to improve, to change, and to express, to actually experience adaptability. And this is what we try to teach our students the most.
Thank you. I'm sure change is the word. I always believe in this book, Who Moves My Cheese? That's a very good book for all of us to read. Kunwin, your take-home message, please.
So when developing any projects, you need to look at the real asset goal, as I said in the presentation, right? You need to look at how to maximize the revenue. You need to look at how to lower your cost. And if you are not sure how to do it, we can always help.
Thank you, Kunwin. Really, I think you are a leading management company that represent owners, and Magnum is doing very, very well for a young company that with your leadership, I think it's going to go even much further, especially now in this time of pandemic. Chris, thank you. Kakuma Kap. Chris, your take-home message, please, all the way from Singapore.
Well, I think the core thing I'd like to say is whatever operators and owners and us as designers are trying to realize, that if we approach it in an authentic manner to the core values of the project, as Win was saying, know your market, know your desires for your development, then the project will be a success. And also the issues of the virus and the conditions that it's imposing are simply going to become another part of our toolbox of design criteria that we have to look into, which becomes the wellness and health of the owners, the operators, and the clients in these developments.
Thank you. Thank you, Chris. Thank you all speakers. Thank you so much. And to all participants, we thank you. We thank you for those who have registered. We received numbers of registration, over 200. But I believe some of you could not be able to join us, but don't worry. The recording videos will be sent to you. You'll be up on YouTube, and we are always on a live stream. Please join us in our next webinar on the 4th of August, talking about global wellness trend and property investors. We had another good series of webinars, and our next group of speakers, we have doctors and we have investors, and we have people who advise us what to invest and what not to invest on our next series on the 4th of August. So we thank you all. Have a good day. God bless. Stay healthy, stay well, and inshallah. Thank you so much. Thank you, Mr. Hussain. Thank you, Sola, Win, and Chris. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Everybody. Thank you.
Bye.